Well, good. Welcome back to our second workshop here this morning. And I really appreciate everybody staying with us here. Uh, I This next workshop will be on uh, our on and in. And uh, And to start out, what I'd like to do is to have us go into our breakout rooms. And for, I'm calling it table discussion, but I think you know what I'm talking about. Again, select a spokesperson. I think we have one extra person that has joined us now. And the two questions is I'm very fascinated to hear what you have to say about what does working in the business mean, and the second question is what does working on the business mean to you? And uh, again, we're not giving you very much time. We're only going to give you 2 minutes here. And Bob, if you can go ahead and assign us to the breakout rooms, and we'll get started. Okay, welcome back, everyone. And let's start with breakout one. And that may be Denise, if you want to speak up again, is share with us one thing about working in and one thing about working on the business.
Well, working in is focusing, for the most of us, I think, was working on our employees, our day-to-day operations, our daily tasks, working in. Did you also want me to answer working on or not yet?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. And then working on the business was expanding our reach to the customer, looking to the future, evaluating what's working, what's not, and making needed adjustments. But interestingly enough, we had a team member who saw these views in complete opposite. Thought, that the on was the daily activity and staff, and the in was the vision and the outreach and the stepping back and evaluating. So that was an interesting tidbit from our group.
Well, I'm glad. I appreciate you sharing that, and because I can understand that. So, all right, and thank you, Denise. On the other, I think it's Heather. If you mind, if you're the leader again, you mind sharing a thought on the in and the on?
I think I'm going to take over the leadership one. We'll switch leadership duties.
Okay, Stephanie.
Yeah. So we pretty much the same as the other group, focusing on the day-to-day tasks, and the on is the bigger picture, the way to propel it forward.
Okay. All right. Good. Well, I'm glad y'all had that healthy discussion and about on and in. The you know, if you are tired of fighting the alligators, which I mean, that there was a time when, shortly after my dad died, I felt like that's where I was. It is time to drain the swamp. And that it took me a little while, but I finally figured out how to drain the swamp. But really, and I appreciate Denise that you shared what you did, because the question is, are you part of the 85% of leaders that are working on the tactical action steps, day-to-day action steps, focusing on the measurable goals, in other words, driving for results, or the other 15% is it's really kind of talking about a lot has to do with the core values, purpose, vision, super objectives or mission, and the strategic plan. So one thing if I've mentored struggling leaders, I have found that 85% of them are working harder and harder in the business, in the day-to-day operations and those kind of things. And they are focused on the tactical action step required to run the business on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. That you might think, well, that just makes sense. Well, but that means only 15% of the leaders are focused on overarching, guiding beliefs and plans of the organization. Now, when we hear, that these are the kind of statements I hear about working in the business, is don't just sit there, do something. Well, on working on the business, it's just the opposite. Don't just do something, sit there, but don't sit idly. And one thing I'd like to share with you here that is key about working on the business, and you want to be working on the business while you're working in the business. It's not either or. It is both at the same time. And one thing I know that Bob in the chat window shared a link here just a while ago, but he's also going to add a link to give you access of what your leadership roadmap could look like. And it defines what where most leaders are. And most leaders, 85% of them I find in mentoring, are in the tactical day-to-day, focusing on the results and things like that. But they're missing a huge opportunity that can have a big impact on the culture of the organization and the effectiveness of the results, where profits soar. Where people thrive and profits soar is also working at the same time on the business. So here's, I call it taking a true north bearing, is just think about yourself here. Is what percentage of your time are you working in the business, and what percentage of your time are you working on your business? And be honest with yourself. It very likely most people here today are working in the business. That's their main focus. Now, I'd like to kind of tell you a little story here. Is that there was a pumpkin farmer that was strolling through their rows of these beautiful green leaves. And at the beginning of the season, the acorn-sized pumpkins were beginning to add dots to the landscape. And when he gleaned down, he noticed a clear glass jar, and curiosity got the best of it. He brought the jar over to one of his pumpkin buds, because he's trying to figure out where in the world out here in the open did this glass jar, did it just fall out of the sky? Where did it come from? So he took one of the pumpkin buds and slipped the small pumpkin inside and left it seating there in the field. Well, months later, with the experiment long forgotten, the farmer walked his land with great, man, he was great. He had great satisfaction. As large and beautiful pumpkins covered the patch. And startled, he noticed the glass jar totally intact, yet completely filled with that little pumpkin that was inside, that grew inside of that jar, that glass jar. It was hard not to notice how the thin glass barrier defined the shape of the orange mass within. And the pumpkin was only about a third of the size that it should have been. And the problem for this little pumpkin is the same problem most businesses and organizations experience today. Rather than growing to their full potential, they conform to the limitations defined by their leader. These glass jars create invisible impediments to growth and define the shape of the business future or the organization's future. No one's thinking that you will never get any bigger than the size of the jar. And the thing I have found, and this is the leadership paradox, is that most leaders believe their first job is to grow their business. I mean, just think about that. That seems to make common sense. But the truth I've learned, this is the paradox, is you need to grow yourself first to grow your business. So, but here's the problem. Most leaders feel their problem is their people. But I found that the truth is your bigger problem, and I'm sorry, please be patient with me, is you as the leader. That is the biggest problem. And so what happens is we become the lid to our personal as well as our business success. We are the lid to the success, even in our family as well. So your business is the size, or your organization is if we have some nonprofits here, your nonprofit is the size of you as the leader. Your perspective on life and in business, or even in a nonprofit, is limited by your own personal growth. So the problem is not the size of your business. The problem is the size of you. So the mason jar limitations, it has to do with our thinking, and it's defined by the leader. The business future, or your nonprofit organization's future, is limited by our thinking. And a full business growth potential, or your nonprofit's potential, is limited by you living out a mason jar life. Is one thing I have found is that it requires thinking for a change. And this is the thing I have found. Unsuccessful people don't think like successful people do. So John, I love this quote from John Maxwell. He says, one of the reasons people don't achieve their dreams is that they desire to change their results without changing their thinking. And so this is a reason why I want to share with you, and we're going to get into more deeper about this when we get into the workshop dealing with enjoy change. But the thing I've learned, when you change what you think, you change who you are. That's who you are on the inside, because you have changed what you believe, and you change what you do. Let me just kind of share it this way. Just think about when you prayed to receive Jesus Christ. It changed you. You were open to understand that you were a sinner and you need a savior, rather than you trying to save yourself. That's where I was. I was a good guy because I was trying to earn my way to heaven. And so I realized that when someone shared with me the gospel, that it was like I had an understanding better as to why my awareness really grew tremendously, that it changed my thinking and my belief. And eventually, you know what happens when you become a new creature when that happens. And that means that you change who you are on the inside. Eventually it changed how you live your life and how your perspective on life and things. So this comes back to is work on the business while we work in the business. So let's take another True North, Barrington. In what ways have you put your business inside of a mason jar, or your organization inside of a mason jar? What can you do to remove the limits on the size of your business or organization? Are you willing to change and then invest in personal growth for yourself and even for your people? That's the reason why I've defined working on the business is to grow yourself, grow your people, then you can grow your business. It's a simple 3-step process. So invest in to grow you. That's have the discipline to do that, and then have the discipline to be intentionally grow your people. Now, my definition of discipline is this: is discipline is doing what you don't want to do today. Because I mean, just think about it. Who wants to do this? This is hard. So you can go do what you want to do tomorrow. And so what we're talking about here is training and development. Every leader can spark business growth by creating a workplace culture that embraces both, not just one or the other, both training and development. You probably for years have heard those two terms. They get kind of squished together and they almost sound like the same thing. But there is a very distinct difference between those two. Training is how you do the job, the skills to do the job. You learn the mechanics of your work. Usually occurs sometimes in hours or days or even months. And it's typically an event. It's an event. Development is a process. It takes more time and you can't rush it, because development is dealing with the development of the person, their character qualities. And for me, my strength was in developing people. And I would find leaders in our organization that were much better at training than I was. And I spent most of my time focusing on developing people. I was so interested. Remember, coming back to people. I wanted to help people become a better mom, a better dad, a better granddad, a better grandmom, or a better person serving their community or their family. So I love this quote from John Maxwell, who said, focus on improving the person, not just the work that he gets done. So here are some 7 personal growth benefits that take place. The first one here is that you will become a better person. And this is where the employees feel you care for them. And that's an important thing that I'll share a little bit more in the third workshop about why that's important. That had to do with a Gallup survey. So this comes back, being just a better mom, a better dad, a better friend, and so forth. And the second one is you will maximize your potential. In other words, with training and development, employees will feel the learning environment allows them to do the best job they know how. And that's another thing I'll share later about from a Gallup survey. And in other words, employees will truly want to achieve and receive recognition for their achievement when this happens. And it comes from you seeing training and development as an investment in your people versus an expense, a business expense. The third is you can anticipate explosive growth. I saw that. It was like I couldn't invest, too much in helping people become everything that they could become. And because one thing I've learned, personal growth is not an automatic process, nor is business growth or your nonprofit growth. And 4, well, let me just add this to number 3 is as you raise your effectiveness today, the greater the chance you will be more effective tomorrow. And 4th is you will enjoy change. Sometimes, we're going through a lot of change now, but once people are willing to change on the inside, is they'll accept the organizational and market condition changes. And without, one thing I've learned, without change, they can be no growth. So what I've found in a workplace culture that enjoys change, they will actually start seeking ways to make changes to improve. Guess what? Who do we serve? We're serving the customer. And when we do that, we're serving the Lord Jesus Christ. So here's number 5 on personal growth benefits. You will attract high achievers. They want to make a difference because they believe that they have much to give. That's the reason why you'll attract high achievers. Number 6, you will experience teamwork. We've already talked a lot about teams, and team players want and are motivated. Guess what? In Matthew 20:28, what Jesus said, I come not to be served, but to serve. And that's the servant's heart. That's the servant leader. And customers and suppliers, yes, even suppliers will feel the impact of excellence in communication, coordination, and cooperation among the team members. And the 7th benefit is you will grow the business or the organization, the nonprofit organization. Employees will come to work with excitement, enthusiasm, and passion. Why? Because you, as a leader, you have earned these things. You didn't have to go out and buy it. You have earned it because of providing personal growth in the area of training and development. So, we're talking about here about work on the business while we work in the business. And so the work to work on the business, we're talking about to grow yourself, to grow your people, then you can grow your business or organization. And now we're at the close of this, and what I'd like for you to do is take just a moment before we, as part of our break here, is to write down one or two, or put an asterisk by one or two things that you would like to act on after this workshop today.